So the mighty Layman has me blocked. He's John Layman, the author of Chew, and I actually still had a conversation with him, a little bit of a conversation, even though the only record for that is because I took some screenshots. This is really interesting because it's insight into how blacklisting works in comics, and this is exactly the kind of thing that always gets me fired up. Again, this is what I came into it for. So yeah, it's irritating when you get blocked by a comic pro, especially when you've never said a word to them. I know who John Layman is. I know that he writes Chew or wrote Chew. I've actually never read anything that he has written. And I did though watch a couple interviews by him. I was on this kick like a few years ago where I would watch every single interview for a comic book writer or artist that I could possibly find. And I remember he was one of them. There was a few interviews with him. They weren't, they didn't have a lot of views or anything, but it was just, I thought I just wanted everything I could possibly get, any kind of information that I could gain that would help me become a writer. So I posted this, and then it's weird. It's weird because he blocks me, but then he searches for my name. I'm trying not to make this about like just a Twitter drama video. I guess I'm going to avoid that, but I do want to show you the conversation that we had. This is just on my, Sweetcast account. This is my Twitter account that I use. Apparently he responded here. I can't see exactly what he said, but I can see that Primal Rage 7 here did respond back to him. So whatever, that's cool, I guess. We can talk. Like I'm perfectly happy to have a conversation. In fact, that's what I did. But in order to do it, I had to use my real Twitter account, I guess. There's me, Clint Stoker. This is a Twitter account I have. I don't even have a profile picture. I rarely ever use it, because my Sweetcast account is that's where all my connections are. So I'm keeping that. But I did hop on there just so I could see what was going on, because I heard on Twitter and saw screenshots that John Layman was saying, basically like, let's take a vote on who's the biggest jerk. I'm cleaning it up a little bit for you though. Who's the biggest jerk working in comics? He thinks it's Ethan Van Sciver. They kind of got into it and were saying maybe Donald DeLay is the worst. Things like that. It's really obnoxious, especially because it's the hypocrisy to just say nasty things. Anyway, so I started a conversation with him. Let's see. This is every working professional is in agreement, right? There's no bigger piece of miserable poo working in comics than Ethan Van Sciver. Is there? Does anyone else even come close? Okay, so the thread went on. So I responded, kind of a random and rude thing to say. Now, I will admit I was maybe like 5% trolling here, but 95%, I honestly, even when I started my channel, I wanted to have discussions with people that think this way and that want, blacklists to happen. Like, what do they expect other comics creators that disagree with them to do? Just not ever work? What are they supposed to do? Having these conversations, though, is nearly impossible, because if you are friendly to anybody that's prominent in Comicsgate, you will be blocked. I'm also, not naive enough to think I've becoming more accepting of the fact that a lot of these guys actually watch Sweetcast, and I am shocked often at who I find out that watches Sweetcast, which is fine. I actually really like that people that disagree with me severely watch my channel, because I guess this is a way that I can communicate my point of view. I doubt that it matters, but if you're watching, I don't know, there's something to be said for that. So I do appreciate that. So, I get blocked a lot, getting blocked more frequently. And I guess that's fine. Can't do anything about it. Okay. So kind of a random and rude thing to say. He says, what's with the / shrug? I don't get that, but shrug. He doesn't care. So here's my little 5% trolling. Geez, this was a never meet your heroes moment. And yeah, my point is, we've been over this. I haven't actually read anything that he's written. I've watched some videos. I know who he is. But a video I made like earlier this week, I got him confused with Jeff Lemire. So you can see, I'm not that big of a fan. My point is, though, that people see this. Actual fans see this. And if you're calling somebody else terrible names, but you're acting like a terrible person, shouldn't that say something to you? So he responds, Clint, my point is that EVS, after a couple decades in comics, is utterly revived. I think he means reviled by nearly every professional in comics. Me pointing it out may disappoint you, but why do you think so many people who make a living in comics think EVS is a pile of garbage? Okay, this argument is terrible and annoying, and I'll tell you why. This is, what do they call it? Bandwagon argument or something. If so many people believe this one thing, then therefore it's true. That is the classic debate fallacy that I think it's called the bandwagon fallacy, but that doesn't mean anything, right? If you lived in World War II, Nazi Germany, it would appear as though all the Nazis believed that they were superior to Jews, or that Jews were inferior. Does that mean that was a truth? Right? I mean, this is crazy. So to say that because you're blacklisting because everybody hates this person, that person is therefore worth hating. It's also crazy because, and I think I brought this up here in a response to him, but that's how a lot of people act. You think in comics, growing up in school, high school even, a lot of people that are comics readers, there's been bullying and things like that. I'm not going to say everybody was bullied that reads comics. That's a stereotype, but you get my point. If you're growing up enjoying comics and people say that you are a dork, you are somebody worth picking on because everybody doesn't like you. Do you see this? This is weird, mean girl kind of activity. This is bullying, honestly. Now I'm not going to pretend like Ethan needs defending here. He'll do it himself for sure, but this is exactly how apparently a lot of people think in the industry, and you can see 531 likes on that first insane statement. So he continues, how big of an a-hole do you have to be toxic? Wow, let me try that again. How big of an a-hole do you have to be toxic? Wow. Are you a professional writer? To an entire industry after being part of that industry for years and years and years. Wow. I think I understand what he's saying, but you have to be a terrible person in order for everyone to hate you. Again, he's doubling down on the same argument, bandwagon fallacy. That is nonsense. Honestly, that is nonsense. Okay, so I responded, I know a lot of people who like EVS. He has been incredibly kind to me on several occasions, and that is true. But I look around, and it seems like the industry is a big exclusive club, and only the left-leaning creators are allowed to speak or be vile. I'm disenchanted. And that is true. If you... It's not just be able to speak, but to be a miserable, terrible person to people. If you can do that and not get a boycott, you know what I mean, and publishers still give you work, even though you can say literally the vilest stuff you can think of. And I've seen some pretty terrible stuff publicly on Twitter. Then why is it okay? Then what's the difference between your vile speech versus somebody else's vile speech? I have to believe it has something else to do. It has less to do with the vile speech and something to do with, politics or being in the right, in the right kind of group or circles. I don't know even about their internal politics, how all that works. But, he wasn't in with the right people. So Layman responds, it is a big club. Yeah, here we go. Here's the admission. And I'll tell you, he deleted all of these tweets after the fact, after we had this conversation. These are all deleted, his responses to me. So I'm glad I took screenshots. Here's the admission. It is a big club, but in general, it's pretty accepting to all types in general. Yeah, right. Right. I had no chance to getting into comics before. This is crazy. True, there are less right-leaning creators, but there are some, and they are accepted and beloved. as long as I'm going to add this, as long as they keep their mouth shut and their opinions to themselves. So everyone else is allowed to have an opinion except for the conservative creators, and then you can be accepted and beloved. I'd like to know which conservative creators he loves. Okay. Why then do so many people, again, same argument, bandwagon fallacy in all caps, so many people, colleagues, abhor Ethan? Could it be something other than politics? And I'll tell you, it could be. That's possible. It could be. But couldn't you use the same argument? How many people could we collect together that don't like John Layman? Really? And what's the magic number that then means that group of people is 100% right? This is a fallacy. It can work any direction you want it to. It doesn't mean that it's true. And I made the point here. When the argument is all people hate so-and-so, it's not a good justification. That has been the mindset for so many bullies to pick on others. You get the idea. I kind of already explained that. All those, he never responded. All these are deleted. He still hasn't blocked me, though, on this account. I suspect that'll happen soon. But it's irritating. Now, my goal here, again, is not to make a Twitter drama video, but this is revealing of the way that things work, this big club that you have to make the right people happy with you in order to be accepted in it and in order to work. I reject that notion, reject it. This is why I love to be able to take the power into my own hands and make my own network of comic creators. And there's a lot of us here. So last day, currently as I'm recording this, it says 27 hours left, but there's going to be far fewer hours once I post this. We're at 24,240. If we get to $25,000, then all the covers are going to get a foil stamp. That's the final stretch goal. It's going to be beautiful. Thank you so much, everybody that has backed this. I would love to see it at 700 backers. That would mean a lot to me. This book is happening. So thank you so much for all of your support. I love knowing that while I'm not in the club, it doesn't matter. We've got something else going on here. So thank you very much. If you haven't backed it yet, you are running out of time. Now's the time to do it because the campaign is ending. So thank you very much, and I will talk to you later.